योगश्चित्तवृत्तिनिरोधः Namaskaram. Let's see the second sutra today, second yoga sutra. Before that, let's initiate the session with a Om chant. The second yoga sutra is Yogas Chitta Vritti Nirodha. Yoga, yug, to unite. Chitta, the highest form of the human mind. Vritti is modifications, fluctuations, impressions. And Nirodha is dissolution. Yogas Chitta Vritti Nirodha is a Nirdesha Sutra. It's a Lakshana Sutra. Let's understand what is Chitta. Let's break it up and understand what is Chitta. To understand Chitta, first I think we need to understand the four categories of human mind. Buddhi, Manas, Ahankara and Chitta. Buddhi is our intellect. It functions using the memory that we have stored. It functions using the data, like we have the hard disk in the computer. So we use that data to retrieve, right? To retrieve the information. Now similarly, Buddhi uses the data that is already stored in our system. But it cannot access more than that. It cannot go beyond that. Whatever is the data that is there, only that is retrieved from it. It resides in our brain. Next comes the Manas. Manas is memory. Every cell in our body has a phenomenal memory. When B.K.S. Iyengar, when he says that when we are practicing yoga, when we are practicing a particular asana, he says you need to be aware of every single part of the body, every single sensation. So you need to be very much aware of whatever small things is happening in our body. He says because when we focus on each part, it stores that memory within you. So the next time when as you keep practicing your asanas, that memory will be retrieved and you will be in perfect alignment of the asanas. So he says to be very, very careful and observe each and every sensation, because he wants that every cell to have that memory and to use that memory. Now this memory is not just ours alone. It's also of our forefathers. There are many layers to the memory. Genetic memory, evolutionary memory, karmic memory, and so on and so forth. I think we need to look at the layers of memory, or talking about memory takes much more, and I think we need to go into another forum altogether to discuss this layers of memory alone. The third one is Ahankara. Most of the time we think Ahankara means it's our ego. But Ahankara is much, much more than ego. It's our identity, the one which we are identified with. The identity that we belong to a particular nation, the identity that we belong to a particular community, the identity of the role that we are performing. Yes, I did use the word performing as if like an artist performing on stage. Very much, I did mean that, because we play that role, we perform that role. For example, I play the role of a mother, a daughter, a wife, a sister, etc. So I only perform that role, I only play that role. I am not that. But my Ahankara gets so much identified with that role, we normally get stuck to that role and we think we are that. We aren't that alone. So it is important to understand that ahankara means the identity, and we need to push that identity down away from us because we are not that. Buddhi and ahankara, they are so very well interconnected. Next comes the chitta. Chitta is that part of the mind without any memory. It is pure intelligence. It connects with who we really are. It connects with our consciousness. So, chitta is something, the moment we have access to this chitta, there's nothing else in this world that we will need. We will be able to live our life full on. But is this chitta accessible to everyone? No. We are not able to access this chitta. But how do we access this chitta now? And why? What is it that is making this chitta inaccessible to us? That's the vrittis. Vrittis are fluctuations, distractions, which clutter our mind. Let's look at vrittis a little more in detail. So it's every distraction, every distortion, every impressions that has been formed, that is called as vritti, which will clutter our mind, which is creating some kind of a block within us. Now, Swami Vivekananda uses a beautiful metaphor to illustrate this concept. He uses the lake as a metaphor. Now, he says that the chitta, the mind stuff, is like the lake, and the vrittis are the waves or ripples that arises in it when external causes impinge on it. Now, the bottom of the lake we are not able to see because the waves, on the surface, the waves or the ripples do not allow us to see the bottom of the lake. When the waves subside, when the waves calm down, then we can see the bottom of the lake. Similarly, when the water is muddy or the water is agitated, then also we cannot see the bottom of the lake. We will have to bring that. We will have to wait until the waves settle down or the mud settles down, and then we can see the bottom of the lake. Now, the bottom of the lake is our true self, and the lake is the chitta, and the waves are the vrittis. Swami Satchidananda says, Mana eva manushyanam karanam bandha mokshayaha. As the mind, so the person. Bondage or liberation is created in our own minds. If we feel bound, then we are bound. If we feel liberated, then we are liberated. Things outside neither binds us nor liberates us. It's only the attitude of us towards that which makes us bound to it or which liberates us. If you remember the first sutra when we were talking about, we did say that the source of happiness is not in the external people or external objects, isn't it? The source of happiness lies within us. So we can decide whether we want to be happy or sad. It's not the external thing. Similarly here, the outside things or the outside world is not the ones which is liberating us nor binding us. It is in our own hands. And if we are able to control that mind, if we are able to move that from a mode of a tornado to a calmness or a stillness, then there is liberation for us. Otherwise, we are bound to it. Now, what happens is our mind is greatly influenced by the vrittis or by the impressions of our past deeds and experiences. These experiences are tainted by our likes and dislikes. We all go through this, isn't it? We like this, we do not like this, we want this, we do not want this. We like a particular person, we may not like this particular person. We like this particular thing, we do not like this thing. Again, the same thing, going back to the first sutra of talking about, I need this, so I want to possess it. or some things which I do not want. I do not want it. I just want to get it out of my life. So this particular likes and dislikes, what does it do to our mind? It gets into our mind into a lot of feelings like anger, hatred, love, jealousy, greed, then maybe compassion, cruelty. So there are so many things. Because of this likes and dislikes, we come across all these feelings. And that's how our mind is constantly chasing one after the other. We have just forgotten how to keep our mind still and be aware of our thoughts and actions. Now, if we are able to bring our mind, or we are able to work on these thoughts and forms and actions and change our mind from a tornado to a calmness and or a stillness, then nirodha happens. Then dissolution happens. So the chitta vritti nirodha happens based on what we are, based on our impressions, based on our experiences, and how we react to them. There's nothing wrong in this world. It is our choice to decide whether we want to have a happy experience or a sad experience of this life in this earth first. So it is in our hands. Now, the teachings of yoga gives us three and questions to those three important parts. One is how to live in this world, how to live in this external world, how to live within oneself, and how to link these two and create a bridge. Once we understand this, then we are liberated here and now. That is why we say yogas chitta vritti nirodha. That is, we are able to access our chitta by removing all these fluctuations or limitations that happen in our mind. Then the observer and the observed merge one with another. Then all distortions, all limitations stop or cease to exist, or it doesn't, even it is there, it becomes very irrelevant. Now, how to create this equanimity? How to create this tranquility, equilibrium within our lives? That is what we will see in the next sutras. I hope you understood what is chitta and what we can do to at least minimize these vrittis to some extent at least. Let's see the next sutra very soon. Thank you so much.